All right. Hello, everyone. Küster's out on family vacation this week, and I'm taking a break from engine work to do the news with Storyteller this week.
Hello, I'm Storyteller, also known as Dvorak, and we are both Meteor Ambassadors.
Okay. Meteor Software is hard at work on the 2X and 3.0 MeteorJS branches, and Galaxy is on Meteor Cloud. It looks like Gabriel Grubba, I'm sorry, Gabe, I'm getting your name all messed up here today. It looks like Gabriel did not get the last word in on the migration guide. And have you taken the 2X to 3.0 migration survey? If not, why not? What are you waiting for? Get to it. And we're updating on everything, sharing some of the best packages for improving the developer experience from a West Coast maven, Qualia, and shouting out to Gafar contributions. All this and more on This Week in MeteorJS. You're watching or listening to the 10th episode, the 10th. We've gotten to 10 of This Week in MeteorJS, a news weekly segment of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. I'm your host, Alim Gafar, New York City. You've already heard from my pal over here, Storyteller, also known as Storyteller CZ, right?
Yeah, it depends on. It's a long-running battle if somebody can get the Storyteller nickname before me. So if somebody managed to do that, then I'm Storyteller CZ.
Okay. And normally what we do is we start with feedback, we get into the news, and then we get into our feature segments, whether they might be a guest. We have no guests this week, so we're on our own here. Jan, by the way, Küster, who normally is with us as our third member, our host, is not with us because he has to take care of his family. And we are very upset about that because, how can he think about them when he should be thinking about us? But he is in the chat and he is, he is participating. And so we're very happy to have him in any form or fashion because Jan is so cool. And I just want to mention that so we get into our feature sections. So we'll either have a guest, and this week we don't. Last week we had Gabriel from the Meteor software team, the OSS team, and he was here to share some issues, share some information with regard to the migration that we're moving from the 2 series to the 3 series of Meteor, which will involve some breaking changes potentially with some code. And so it was really important for him to come on, mention what are the processes and what are the steps we're going to take and what are the resources that we can look to in order to do that. So that's what we had last week. And if you want more information, you'd like to see the episode, please go watch it. We think that it's worthwhile. It's very useful information, very timely information, and certainly something that you can use to start your process of moving your code base from 2 to 3. And then sometimes we'll have a useful resources section, which is what we have this week. And then we'll go into hot topics or deep dive topics. And then after that, we'll get into sort of the end of the program where we talk about, basic reminders that we want to share with you, things that we want to call out, and then talk about things that we may be covering, in the next week. So I don't know why I'm falling over my mouth today. I'm trying to look at the camera more. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's unnatural to me. I am not used to this. And in doing this, I am fumbling. And so I really appreciate the fact that you guys have stuck with us. I want to point out one thing before we get into the feedback that we've gotten last week, which is this week we saw about 150 views on the channel. And I know for many people that doesn't sound like a lot, but for our small community, it is. And we get a lot of repeat and returning viewers that come back to the channel. And we've been seeing them come back again and again. The jump to 150 views in 1 week is very big for us. And it's, I'd say it's about a 40 or 50% increase over the week before, and we've been trending upwards that way. And I'm very happy about that because it means new people are coming and taking a look. But it also means that the people that have been with us through this experiment that we've done so far, we've done 10 episodes now, and I think we've committed to the end of the year, Jan, to
Yes,
see.
that's correct.
And so we're committing to being here every week for you and providing as much useful information as we can to you. We have a couple of ways to do that. One is to use the submission form that is in the show note links. And let me just pull up really quickly to myself here so I could tell you basically what that link is. Let me see.
It's to Google Forms. So
yes, and we have a short link to it. It's a bit.ly link, and it's MeteorJS -dispatches. And if you click on that link, that bit.ly/MeteorJS -dispatches, you'll get that form and you can submit information in it. Suggestions to us about what we should be covering, things that are going to be interesting to you, people that we should be talking to, topics that you think are relevant that maybe we're not covering or we're not covering well enough or broadly or deeply enough for you. So we would like you to engage with us more if you can. We get some engagement on the chats and we love that. I see that Daniel is back here again, or was here. I don't know if he's here today. But it said, dudes, we miss you. I guess that was from yesterday when we postponed it to today. And we have Küster on the chat right now, available to answer anybody's questions that pops on. So, really happy to have you. Really happy to be doing this. And I just want to go quickly into the feedback. And last week we got 2 pieces of feedback. We talked about Dr. Dmitry. That's Dmitry Golev, who has done a tremendous amount of work creating packages and making them available and doing fantastic documentation for them. And he is a Meteor ambassador. And he's been really, really busy with his businesses and so on. So we haven't seen him up front here for a long time. And anyway, one of the things he did was he got on the comments and he said, this was really inspiring to him and he was motivated to do more in the community. And so that was really great to hear from him and see that post. The second post that we got was from Michael Scharf, who was trying to share additional links based on some of the content that we did last week. And he was having a problem with it because YouTube will not let you put links into comments. It views that action as spam. And so he ended up using the submission form, filling out the information there, sharing that information in there. I copied that back and I put that into the comments field. And so if you'd like to see the links that he shared, I would suggest going to last week's episode and taking a look at the comments, and you'll be able to take advantage of the resources that he's made available to you. So with that, I think we're going to go on to the news. Unless, Jan, do you have anything that you want to add to the feedback that we got this past week?
No, but I would just like, as you said, 150 people watching. So I would like to, ask everybody to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. So
Absolutely.
that, the more subscribers we have, the more options we get, to do on YouTube, and the more doors open to us to make this show even better.
And the more likes we get, the higher that YouTube ranks us in terms of its search results. And so that's very helpful for getting visibility to the channel. So cost you nothing, just takes a little poke, and it gives us a chance to get more people into the Meteor community, which is what we're trying to do. All right, guys. So let's move on to the news. And Storyteller,
Yep.
What's going on in the news this week?
So I will be starting with updates from Meteor Software. The first one is, those of you who use Galaxy should have got an email about it. There is a new security enhancements that will be coming down the pipes. It's in short, it's called forward secrecy. It's an improvement to the SSL certificate. It came out after actually one of my companies. We working with a corporate client, and they said that we need to improve our SSL certificate because it only gave us a B on a SSL test. So once this is implemented, we should get an A or maybe even A plus on the SSL tests. So that's the big thing that is coming up. It will start in the Asia region on November 13th, Europe region on November 20th, and finally in the America region on December 4th. And this is just an improvement to the SSL circuit, for additional security. So, and you can read more about it, in the email or also on the official cloud roadmap. Next up is Meteor 2.14. We are moving forward and looking forward to get a release probably early next week, at least a beta. And so far, to kind of give you an overview what we have the new MongoDB driver version 4.17. There is a new option to disable cross-origin in sock.js via a new variable that you can change. We have new DDP merge strategy. App cage has been further deprecated, and we have new create user async. Those are kind of the highlights. Of course, there's a lot of other smaller improvements, and I would highly recommend you to kind of keep watching this, especially as we go towards release. The biggest kind of, I would say, that's stopping us is the new bundle, which is something that Meteor Software Gabriel has to generate in their system, and that's not as easy process as it might seem on first look, especially now with our custom node version. Personally, also I'm trying to get some other pull requests merged in, but yeah, keep an eye on this. This will be coming out very soon. And next one we have.
Hold on a second here.
Yes.
Before you go on that, in 2.14, how far along do you think it is in terms of completion towards a release? And what's the desired release date for this? Is it within the month or?
Yeah,
well,
the desired release date, at least for the beta, is next week.
Next week.
In terms of completion of what we have, you could say in our list, it says 55% complete. This is a bit inaccurate because there is some issues moved into this as well, and as is usual, some of the issues won't make it, and some of them will be also very quick. So I would say we are like 60% done, and we still have some discussion, especially here on the underscore removal that's ongoing. But from what I've talked with Grubba, pretty much anywhere where you see the green check mark, that is ready to go and more likely to be merged over the weekend or early next week.
Okay, cool.
So I'm pretty confident that we can make it unless we have some issue with joining the bundle.
Very cool. Thank you.
So, and speaking of milestone, there are some updates in the 3.0. We had Alpha 16 come out, and I think for those of you who followed me on YouTube as well, I did a stream during the week that when I took one of my personal website and tried to migrate it, we discovered some issues in Alpha 16, and looks like that Alpha 17 is out now as well, with hopefully some of the fixes that we made there. So that one is advancing. What's new in Alpha 16 and 17 is hot module reloads updates. There are some clear Mongo errors. Of course, more async migration and stuff like that, and a lot of bug fixes to the various issues that were reported. So if you have, if you want to try it right now, I would say, and also for duration of alpha, it's easier to start a new, Meteor application with it rather than try to migrate. The biggest issue being of mostly third-party packages, which are going to hold you back, like it happened during my stream. So that's for 3.0 release. And what do we have else from you, Alim?
Well, before we move on to that, I just want to ask something as a follow-up to last week when we talked about, areas of responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think we discussed was Gabe said that he was going to go back and start cataloging the packages that belong to Meteor Core, right? Yep. And then I guess we'd see like what the progress is on the migration of each of those packages as we go along. And the suggestion was also that community might want to consider doing something like that too. What are your thoughts on that, and where do you think you are if you are going to proceed that way?
So we have, let's see, we do have, I believe, a few. We have like a board here where we track all the different packages. Started, we need to actually update this because it's a bit more advanced, but you can already see, at least whenever I remember to put it in, that we have things are going on. So we have here for publish composite, Meteor roles. Those are the tools I remember do it. So
okay,
those are on their way. And
Guillaume is asking if we can zoom in a little bit.
Yes.
Let's see if we can. Does that help now, Guillaume? Let me just take that back off. And
sorry, that's
yeah.
That's okay, kind of where we are. And
but as far as that's your working Kanban, right?
Yes.
But as far as having that list, that I guess somebody in the community who doesn't know where the Kanban is, and just to have like sort of like this index of, hey, here are the community packages that we're responsible for. Is that something that you're going to be doing, or have done, or will be?
I think it will be. Right now, it's kind of more of a light, primarily because Meteor 3 is still in alpha stages, so a lot of the things are changing, sometimes quite rapidly. So I would, or the plan right now, at least for me, is that once we hit beta, that's when it really starts kicking in. And especially once we do, or once Meteor 3 moves into the release candidate, that is once we start really releasing packages ready for 3.0, and where we really get to it, because then we have a very stable base against which we can test and work against. Right now, we are primarily focusing on the most in-demand packages to get there, and you can expect probably over the weekend and early next week that I will be doing either alpha releases or other patch releases to the existing packages to make them compatible with the latest alpha 17 as well.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on this. Thank you so much. I mean, we can move on. The next item on our list is the survey that Daniel Dornhart had put together. It is a survey that that he put together so that people that are already doing work on transitioning from the 2 base to the 3, or even just trying to move from it really is a fibers to async migration survey, trying to find out how many people are doing it and what are they discovering as they go along. We've gotten, I think, about 25 responses so far is the latest report that we have at the bottom of it someplace.
Yes, 25, 4 days ago.
Yeah. And I think Fred also mentioned that 6 of the Galaxy customers are also in progress of doing this. So
not customers or customer-facing user interfaces, so stuff like
okay.
Galaxy and Atmosphere, stuff like that.
Oh, I misunderstood this. So this is Meteor Software itself has 6 customer-facing projects. Okay, so it's including that. I don't know if that's included in the 25 count, but regardless, it's great to have this information. It's even better to have more information. And the thing is, your project may have edge cases that these other projects don't. So if you could fill out the survey and contribute, it's not a very long survey, if I remember correctly. It's really only, I think it's less than 15 questions altogether, right? So
something like that. Let's open it up and see.
Let's open it up. Let's take a look real quick. And let's just scroll down and see how many questions we have altogether. I don't think it's a multi-part.
Yeah, it's about the async itself. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 or 7, and the rest is about you.
Yeah. So less than 10 questions altogether. If you can fill it out, and Daniel will be sharing the information with everybody that he discovers, and we have a link over to the forum that also links over to the actual survey, so you can see the context and fulfill the survey. One of the things that I did recently is the title of the forum was a little long and a little convoluted. So today I changed it and I renamed it Community Survey. What's your progress migrating to MeteorJS 3.0 fibers to async transition? So hopefully that makes it a little clearer of what the survey is asking about. And, please fill it out and let's get some results. All right. And we could share it among each other. Okay. And Storyteller, I think there's something happening in the larger JavaScript world that I didn't even realize was happening. And, tell us a little bit about this and
so that's what this Jan Küster let us know about this. And this is the deprecation of formatting rules in ESLint. And you can follow the link in the show notes. Highly recommend reading it. It's actually something that starts November 3rd, as it usually goes with deprecation. All the formatting rules are still going to work for the foreseeable future and probably for a very long future. What does this mean? So pretty much all the rules that are saying stuff, and here we have the list, is there has to be a new line after a bracket, or you have to follow this spacing, you have to have commas, semicolons, there should be extra line at the end of the file. All those rules from ESLint will go away, and they have put here their reasons, and primarily it's that people have unrealistic expectation about the rules. There is so many of them. It's a problem, between different, rules clashing, and then because it's so many of them, it's a hassle to maintain that. And that's primarily, and they don't even like to maintain them because it is kind of away from the main purpose of what ESLint was supposed to be. So that's why they are moving them away. They recommend to use Prettier and similar tools like dprint for Rust-based formatters, to use that instead of those rules. One big question is, for example, how it's going to affect the standard standard JS that we use in our packages, in Meteor Community packages a lot. because they heavily depend on these rules to do the formatting. So that we'll still see, and yeah, that's kind of it. And I think it's very interesting, especially how we look on how Meteor is doing deprecation and what Meteor focuses on. And here we have just like another example where another project has taken or has decided to make a very significant change to what they are doing.
Well, is this something that you think, plugins in VS Code are going to just take care of for most of us?
It really depends on what formatting styles people use. A lot of the times, like following, the spacing rules, and so you have like 2 spaces or 4 spaces, stuff like that. That's already kind of what the IDEs take care of. So oftentimes it looks like you have like 3 configuration files just so that you have the spacing is respected everywhere. So in a certain way, it will make certain things easier. But again, depending on what's your current setup, it might mean that you will have to install, for example, Prettier or some other tool to kind of get the same result. So that will remain to be seen. That's also, in a way, for example, in our case, but the benefit of standard JS that standard will have to figure out how to do this. And for us, hopefully, it will not mean any other, additional work.
Sure.
So
well, this kind of sneaked up on us, didn't it?
Yeah, this was, at least this article by itself was published on 26th October, so just a few days ago, and deprecation is starting November 3rd, so that's very
soon.
very, very soon from that. But at the same time, deprecation by itself is just that. It's just, and it's going to show warnings, and it's just, hey, this is, we will not be maintaining in this future. It will still work for, at the bare minimum, upcoming one major release. I do believe they mentioned here that earliest they will be releasing it will be in ESLint version 10. And right now we are currently at 8.53. So that gives us all of ESLint 9. But let me just double check on that. Yes. But will not be removed until at least ESLint version 10, if not later.
Okay.
So it's more like saying, hey, we don't want to deal with this for the reasons that we have listed. Find an alternative solution, and you have, I would say, 2 major versions to really fix that, or find the other solution.
Sure. Okay. We're spending a lot of time on this, and I think we really need to move on. I thought, last week when we had Gabe on here, that we had a 2x to 3.0 migration guide and a strategy, and everything was good, and it was going to be the basic source of truth. And then last week we heard that perhaps this is not the source of truth documentation. And user RJ David had gotten onto the forums to discuss this a bit. And I'm going to just quote some of the things that he said. He's a longtime member and contributor. He does a lot of really great work helping out the community. He, and he's somebody that I think we look to for his reasoned thinking. And his observation was, we badly need more centralized and better documentation. Unfortunately, the current guide page is not ideal for this, as it is not current enough for the questions being raised and requires answers centralized into a live documentation. I'm just quoting here. So, maybe not the best formation, but it's okay. And then Danielson, who is on the staff of Meteor, is on the OSS team. He replied and said, "Yes, 100%." We said, "Well, 100% agree, and we're currently working on a doc that will give this macro view of everything." So it sounds like there's a different doc than the migration doc that we've been talking about last week. and it says it'll probably be a GitHub discussion because it's easy to keep the doc updated and people can easily interact with it. Hopefully it'll be live next week. So just want to put that out there that, we presented with Gabriel that we have a document that would be your source of truth and you could go to for the information about how to do migration. And I think the intention is still to have that information there. And I think perhaps it might be the first place you go, because eventually that will be where the information is going to be, the canonical information about doing a migration will be. But to RJ David's point, there is so much that's in flux right now that there needs to be a way to capture that information. And so what it looks like Meteor Software is going to do is it's going to have that central place of all that information in flux that is not clean enough to give you like a step-by-step, right? Because it's going to have lots of tangential information, and they're going to do that in a GitHub discussion. So my hope is actually they will post the link to that discussion on this page, the announcing how to migrate your application to async methods on the forums, and that way you'll have a way to get to the information that you might need in terms of things that are transitioning while they filter that and clean it up and put it into the migration doc that Gabriel talked about. So this in no way is intending to throw anything that Gabriel said as being false. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the intention is that, the canonical information will be in that document. And as information emerges and is being considered and is being resolved, it's going to be handled in the GitHub discussion. So I want to point one other thing out. In all of this, a lot of what informs this are people's or members, experiences doing a transition. And Lori, who is user XET7 from the Weekend team, has been doing a migration of Weekend over to 3.0 Alpha 16. And it's really very helpful to actually look at some of the experiences that he's had and the things that he's done as he's gone through, and he documents it as he goes through. And as he runs into each blocking point, he documents that, he figures out what to fix, and then he goes from there. He is having a blocking error right now. He pinged Gabriel Grubba. I did it again. Gabriel Grubba. Sorry, Gabriel. I'm going to have to practice in the mirror so I don't make that mistake again. We worked together for like a year, and I still I don't use your last name. So, but Gabriel, he pinged Gabriel, and I think he's waiting for a response. I don't know whether or not Gabriel has gotten back to him recently, so I'm bringing it up here just in case Gabriel isn't aware, so he can get back to him on it. It's super detailed. Go to the link; it's in the show notes. Read it for yourself, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you when you're doing your own migration. All right. And with that, I am passing this back on to.
I will just add to here. Also, apologies to Laurie that I haven't had chance to really respond lately to it. Just too many things, but there was few comments regarding specific packages, and that kind of goes back to what I said before. Updates for that are coming in the near future. It's just a matter of my time to get around to it and merge. You can help me a lot if you prepare pull requests with the fixes, because then I just need to merge it, do a quick test, and release it. And speaking of releases, we do have finally a release of Meteor Desktop version 3.1.1. This release pretty much fixes all the issues that came out of releasing version 3.1. You can see here all the changes and everybody who has contributed. So now Meteor Desktop should be again up and running. There's still a lot of work to be done there, but most of it will have to probably wait once we move to Meteor 3.0 and get the newer version of Node. Other things to mention here for updates is the Meteor Publish composite. Let me quickly switch to that, where we have also released a few new versions and patches. Latest one, yes, should be 1.8.3. We are kind of modernizing the package, and during that, there was accidentally a new bug introduced, which caused some issues. So hopefully that should be fixed in the latest version. So please do test this package if you are using it, the latest version, and let us know if you have any problems or anything else that comes up to it. And finally, I'll mention that we also are in works on a new Gafar release. This will be a feature release, so we'll have some new features being added there. All right, off to you, Alim. Muted.
Sorry about that, guys. Again, the coughing. When I cough, I don't want it to get on, and I'm afraid of infecting you. So, so anyway, we're I think we're done with the news now, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's all I have.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all I have. So after you, what do you have for us, Alim?
Well, what we've got now are a couple of useful resources, and they're focused on, a couple of them that I'm talking about are focused on collaborative code editing and CPU profiling packages. So these are some packages that have been put together they're kind of old, but they're very, very interesting. And we're revisiting some of these projects by a company called Qualia. And Qualia is a company on the West Coast of the United States. It's a venture-funded company that used to run Meteor Night in San Francisco. And they provided a platform to help with real estate closing processes. And the apps that they used are built with MeteorJS. And one of the other things they've done is they've built a number of tools to enhance their productivity for building, running, and debugging MeteorJS applications. And they've shared them with the community. It'll be good to see if anybody's interested in modernizing some of these packages. So I'm going to bring them up, and we'll talk about them a bit. And they talked about these in a past video. It was a recording that they did of one of their Meteor Nights, where they did a presentation on it. And I'll bring up two of the packages that they discussed, which I thought they were really interesting. One is Reval, and the other is Profile. And let me tell you about Reval, for instance. And by the way, you can find their packages under the Qualia namespace on Atmosphere. So Qualia Reval is like a JS Fiddle. If you've ever played with JS Fiddle, where you can write your code and you can put your you could put your JavaScript code in, you could put your CSS in, and then you could see, in another quadrant on the fiddle that on the screen, the output of the work that you're doing in real time. It's exactly like that. And that package allows you to instantly reload either via an in-browser editor or an editor plugin. And it works with Blaze, with Jade, with CSS and arbitrary JavaScript for both the client side and the server side. And it allows for live collaborative code editing via an integration with ngrok and nggrok. No, ngrok. I did say it right the first time. Okay, so that's one project. I think it's a really cool project. I didn't know about this one at all. And to be honest with you, I would like to actually use this. So I'm going to reach out to the guys at Qualia and see whether or not they have an update to it. It hasn't been updated on the GitHub in a long time, and I don't think it's been updated on Atmosphere. But it's one of those projects where, if possible, I'd like to see this brought back to life, because I think it can enhance developer productivity immensely. And the second one,
actually, Alan, before you go, This kind of reminds me of something that Southern has done as well.
Okay.
So I don't remember now exactly how it was called. He did it at one of the Meteor Impacts, like a showcase, and it's, if I understand correctly, pretty much like as you said, a fiddle for Meteor. And I think he has done something similar, but I think his one was not at least, or maybe not in entirely open source. So,
all right. So
maybe something. Maybe he started from this. Who knows?
Maybe what we could do is find that and then share that in the show notes or in an update later on, and that'll be cool to see, right? So that'll be great. The other one that I thought was really cool was the Qualia profile, and this one has been updated recently. It's a CPU profiler, and the package makes it easy to record proper sampling of CPU profiles of Meteor on the server, and you can open that profile in Chrome for detailed analysis, and it gives you this flame chart, which is really, really nice. And excuse me, it supports both profiling of the Meteor build process and the server process. And what's interesting to me is both Pathable and Quave had forked it, and Quave did an update to it 3 years ago. I'm hoping to see Felipe this week coming up, because he's visiting New York and he's in Manhattan. So I'm going to ask him whether or not Quave is doing anything new with it. I think I had seen him do a demo on this a few years back. But again, it's one of those things which I think is just tremendously useful for understanding what's going on with your application as it's running. And so these two packages I think are really useful. I know they're old. Check them out. What I would like to see is whether or not other people feel that this would be a useful tool for them to have and to use, and whether or not these packages should be updated if there isn't some other alternative that does it pretty much the same way out there. All right. And with that, I will move this on. So I think we've got a shout out at this point. And
yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll go from here. I want to shout out, as I mentioned, we are working on a new Gafar feature release, and that is primarily thanks to Hunjadi, aka Berislav Hunjadi from Croatia, who came back. And since we've made some progress, he had some old PRs. He took those PRs, updated them to the latest version. Or is in the process of updating them, and we are slowly merging them up, and hopefully we have them all merged for the next release. If not, we'll have maybe a few more releases after that. So I want to give a huge shout out for him to taking the effort of coming back, updating his pull request to the latest version, making sure that all the tests pass and that they are ready for merger. So, mute.
Yes, I am muted. I'm sorry. So I just thought you were going to go right into the deep dive and do a self transition, but at this point, we're at the point where we'll either talk about a deep dive or a hot topic, and I think we're still working on getting this first part of the deep dive, the road to 3.0, out, and we have the first episode scheduled.
Yes.
So you want to talk about that, when it's happening and what they
So yeah, on November 14th, we'll have our first deep dive into Meteor 3. What you can do is, go to the page. We actually have a complete playlist that will have all of those episodes listed here as we get them going, and you can click on the first episode, and here you can, of course, don't forget to like, share, and then what you can do here, first of all, so subscribe if you haven't, but here you see this live in 17 days at this point. On November 14, there's this notify me, so you can click that on, and it will notify you when that is coming up so that you don't forget to tune in or maybe watch it afterwards when we are finished.
I think if you blow that up a little bit, people could see it a little better. The little
Yeah,
bell,
I don't
right?
think that's going to really.
No, it only goes so much.
It's small here for a
Yeah,
reason. It's not going to take all the space. So
yeah. All right, really cool though. But there's a little bell there that says, what is it? Notify me.
notify me as.
Yes.
So down
And
here,
yeah.
click on it, and we'll say notification on once you have clicked it.
So I'm going to say one thing also. If you're watching this and you see me like looking down a lot, it's because I'm looking at the screen of my monitor, and the where the visuals are right now are at the lower part of my screen, and so I end up spending time pointing my eyes in that direction. I'm not a good YouTuber yet. I've got a lot to learn. So, all right, this is exciting. I'm really excited to actually, I'm going to be operating controls at that, and the two Jans and others are going to be actually the ones that are delivering the content. So I'm very excited to be part of that from the back room. So I'll be learning along with the rest of you, what this whole road to 3.0 looks like, and the what's, the where's, the whys, etc. behind it. So, look for it. Like and sign up for it, and I'm sure it's going to be a great episode when we get to it. And with that, we're towards the end of our program at this point. So what I'd like to remind you is that we rely on your participation in the form of just hitting that like button and the share button and subscribe. Share this with others that are in the JavaScript community that are interested in building applications quickly. We should really spend a little time sometimes talking about why people should be using Meteor, and the benefits that they get from it. And so anyway, like, share, and subscribe. And also think about this for a minute. Open source is really not free software. I mean, people that spend their time working on open source projects, they're basically taking time away from other things they can be doing. Now, there are projects out there where companies pay for staffers to contribute to open source, and that's great. But we also have individual developers who spend a lot of their free time, and it's on their dime and on their time, as I said before, building software for others to use. And so if you find the work that's being done useful and helpful, we have in our show notes sponsorships that you can participate in for the two Jans. So they have GitHub sponsors, and Jan Storyteller here is showing some information with regard to how you can sponsor his work. And yeah, so please do that. Consider doing that. I think it would be very meaningful to them. It's beyond the monetary contribution that you make in doing that. They also get a tremendous amount of satisfaction knowing that others appreciate them. And so it's a form of appreciation, and it encourages them to continue doing what it is. And Jan, I noticed something the other day. I noticed that you are on the core team.
That's well, there is what's called the core team. It's you mean like on the official website?
So no, I was looking at GitHub the other day, and I was looking at the README. I think one of the READMEs for Meteor, and there is a list of Meteor Software employees that are on the core
I think
commit team, the core commit team,
yes.
And I think you and 3 or 4 others are part of that.
Yeah. So what is this? I think this the current reviewers place is much.
It's a different list, but it's the same list.
Yeah, it's here the current core team.
Committers. Yes.
I think the one above here, which is actually the current reviewers, is better said because it's distinguished, people from Meteor and from the community. What this means is that I have not full access, but special access to the repository, so I can create branches, push directly to the branches there, not to master's branch, and I can also merge pull requests.
Yep.
So that's what this means. It doesn't mean that I am an employee or anything like that. So just want to make that distinction. I just have, this, you could say, special access due to my past, could say, service to the community, and also at one point being part of Meteor Software as well. So that's kind of where it is. Normally, I don't merge. I always wait for somebody from Meteor Software to kind of make sure that they see it as well before I merge. A few exceptions being like, typo fixes or something that's, there's like no way there could be any, problems if I merge it, or if it's like something that needs to be merged immediately, but that usually is not something I deal with. So that's what it means. It doesn't mean, that I'm affiliated with Meteor Software or anything like that.
That wasn't what I was implying, right? So, I had said before that there are members of that core team that are employed by Meteor Software, and then there are others, and you're among the others there. So I think it's really nice company that you're in, right? You're in with, Radislav. You're in with, I think Felipe, who was an employee, is a former employee. Now he's not.
Yes.
Zodern
is there.
Yep. Zodern is great.
People.
And, this gentleman, Captain M, who I don't know, but apparently is in New York. Kevin Newman. So he's somebody I think I'd like to get to know, and maybe we can bring him into one of our talks one day.
Absolutely.
So have you interacted with Kevin?
I think we've interacted on some pull requests. I don't think I've interacted with him beyond the repository much. So so I think it's good company to be in, and it was my first time noticing that. I don't know how long you've been part of the core commit, but congratulations. I have been, I think, since 2 years back, 2.5 years,
really?
Something like that. Yeah.
I had no idea. that I've been in the company of like royalty here,
Come on.
So it's
not that big.
Well, no, I mean, it's so anyway, there's a good point here, by the way, to be made on this, and we should talk about this another time on this, the contributing document over here that tells you how to participate in this open source project and how you can go from being an outsider to a deep insider, right? So, and the fact is that you're one of those people that went from being an outsider into becoming a very deep insider. So, I think there's a lesson to be learned here. Anyway, we have gone way beyond where we normally are. I want to thank you all for joining us this week and putting up with our rambling. I mean, we were rambling a little more this week than we normally do, but appreciate all of you who return to watch this program again and again, and we'll continue to experiment and refine and try to make this as interesting and as useful as possible to you, and bring people in that I think, that we think that you'll enjoy hearing from and learning from. So until next week, have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Okay.